My name's Travis. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. I'm going to give this a shot. I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube. It seemed to help me out when I couldn't make it to a meeting in my first few months of being clean and sober. Maybe I can help somebody else out. I'm 27 years old. I was born in Greenfield, Massachusetts. I was raised in Athol, Massachusetts. For those of you who don't know where it is, it's a small little hick town off the map. Watched that town go to shit over the last 20 years because of this disease. I have a beautiful sister, Taryn. My beautiful mother, Linda. I got a beautiful son, adorable, smart little boy, Travis. His mother, beautiful, beautiful woman. No longer in my life today, but it's because of my own doing. But anyway, when I was a kid, I had the disease of addiction long before I picked up a drink or a drug for the first time. I got addicted to little things like catching snakes and frogs, spiders, building tree houses, fires, skating, hacky sack, rollerblading, snowboarding, biking, all that stuff. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I did it to excess. And when I was a little kid, my father was a very violent drunk. Drug addiction, alcoholism runs rampant in both sides of my family. When I got my first black eye from my father. When I was a little kid, the last real memory I have of my real father, he'd come home drunk, arguing with my mother, and tried to toss us off a porch 3 stories up behind Victory Supermarkets. And he fell 3 stories, paralyzed himself from the waist down. My mother stayed with him. We moved to Oklahoma. Things didn't work out. She moved me back to Massachusetts. Changed my last name from Travis Lyman Mace to Travis Thomas Tebow. Never seen him again after that. I talked to him when I was 7. It didn't end up very good conversation. I never spoke to him again. When I was 9 years old, I picked up my first drink. It was anisette. The grossest thing that ever passed through my lips. But I knew it was going to do something for me. I didn't know what, because I had never drank before, but everyone around me was always drinking. I was a smart kid. I knew what was going on. I wanted to give it a shot. And I hated it. I hated the way it tasted. But I went back for another one, and I went back for another one. And eventually I got that buzz. And I'm not going to say I ran with it every day after that, because I was just a little kid, but it was always accessible. My mom remarried. My stepfather was an alcoholic. My 3 stepbrothers and sisters were alcoholics, one of which was a drug addict. So it was always around. And so I drank for a little while. Like, I'd be sneaking beers, and nobody would know. They were all usually too drunk to realize it. And when I was about 12, I smoked pot for the first time. I fell in love with it. I loved smoking pot, and I smoked pot from 12 years old up until 26 years old when I got sober. And when I was a kid, I was a wild kid, a wild child, and I always got sent with my grandmother. Like, she was my best friend. She took good care of me. Anytime I got punished or anything like that, my grandmother would come and get me. She'd try to straighten me out. I'm not going to say she did a great job at it, but she did the best she could. So when I was about 13, my grandmother passed away, congested heart failure. That devastated me. That was like my best friend. I can remember going to the funeral, and I couldn't even show emotion. I couldn't cry. I would lick my fingers and rub my eyes to fit in with everybody. I never dealt with that. And a few months after that, my father passed away. That devastated me, but on a different level. I don't think I was upset because he was gone. I think I was more upset because I would never get any answers to any of my questions. And I never will. And so a little bit after that happened, about a month after that, my father had passed, I started smoking crack. And that was crazy. Crack's a crazy drug. Anybody listening to this, crack is one hell of a fucking drug. And I got hooked on that real fast, and shit went downhill really quick after that. Shortly after that, I got my first real physical altercation, and this kid Mark been picking on me all through school. I waited for him after school one day, and I beat the hell out of him really, really bad. And I got in a lot of trouble. I got put on probation for a long time. And I'm 27 years old, and I'm just now due to get off of probation. And yeah, so things spun out of control real fast after that. Yeah, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I started hanging out with older people because I didn't want to drink and drug with people my age because I wasn't trying to be a babysitter. I had one task at hand, and that was to get as fucked up as I could, up as much as I could, and I didn't want to worry about anybody else, just myself. And as a young kid, I could drink and drug more than your average person, especially for my age. And I'm not proud of that, but I got real good at it because it was my favorite thing to do. And when you really like to do something, you're gonna get good at it. And so I started smoking pot every day before school. I was drinking on a daily basis. I started smoking crack, and that wasn't every day, but it was whenever I could get it. Whenever Dude was around and I could get it. But wasn't too long after that I tried my first Percocet, and I got addicted to may cause drowsiness. Any pill bottle that had that on there, it was for me. And I fell in love with the Percocets too. Those were incredible feeling. I loved the way they made me feel. And shortly after that, along came the acid and the ecstasy and the mushrooms and all the club drugs. And at this point, I hadn't tried a drug I didn't like, and that was not a good thing because I would go drug to drug to drug for weeks at a time, and I would never stop. About 16 years old, I lost one of my really good friends. Shout out to Sean Mangeria, rest in peace, buddy. You're greatly missed. I can't wait to see you again someday up there with that good savior. To a heroin overdose, I lost him, and I swore I would never do heroin after that. And I remember going to his funeral and I couldn't even cry. I had to do the same thing. I showed up there completely drunk, all messed up, and I still couldn't cry. And it's because drugs and alcohol made me numb. I didn't have emotion. I didn't feel. The only thing I felt was my fingertips tingling and my brain spinning. That's it for a long time. And wasn't too long after that happened, I myself tried heroin and I got addicted to that. And that was my demon. That took me down and brought me to places that I would never thought I would go. It had me doing things that I thought I'd never do. Turned me into a person I thought I'd never be. And shortly after that, I left my mother's house. I was homeless, and that's when I knew I had a problem. People would tell me all the time I drank too much, so I would try to stop drinking as much, and I would go to the drugs. And then after a while, people would tell me I did drugs too much, so I'd go back to the drinking. And then eventually, it was just doing drugs and drinking like a fucking maniac, and that was it. And I ran with that for a lot of years. I've been in and out of jails. I've knocked on death's door more times than I can count. I've overdosed. I ended up dropping out of high school. Biggest mistake I ever made. And I just could not control my drinking and drugging. I started to lose friends. I started robbing everybody. I started trying to fight everybody, all my friends, everybody. And people just generally didn't want me around anymore. I stopped getting invited to parties. Stopped getting invited to family functions. And when I did, they were looking at me, counting my beers, and I'd either get asked to slow down or leave, or they would leave. I just couldn't fathom I was doing it to myself. I couldn't see the real problem that everybody else could see. And by the time I was 21 and old enough to drink, that 21 just blew out the window because I've been drinking for years. And all that did was cause more problems for me because now I could legally buy booze and I could go into bars and I would never run out because now I could buy it and I wouldn't have to worry about begging people. So as time went on, I kept drinking, kept drugging. A lot of things happened. a lot of guilt and shame. I hurt a lot of people. I didn't really care too much about anybody but myself. And when I was, well, skip ahead a few years because they don't really matter. I just drank and drugged through all of them. But 2009, I overdosed on heroin and Chlorseidine. Um, Thought I was invincible, you know. Thought I could do as much drugs as I wanted to because in the past I would do all kinds of shit and I never fell out. I mean, I've OD'd, but I always snapped out of it. Um, so I ended up in a psych hospital, and I was told that I was clinically insane and I couldn't leave, and that I was never going to be the same again. Unfortunately, I'm not the same, and that was 4 years ago. Fortunately, I can still think, and I'm not stupid. Um, but it changed my brain chemistry around. When I got out of there, I was going crazy when I left there, and that's when I knew I had a serious problem because I was out of the psych hospital 4 days, and I was right back into drinking and drugging, and I could not stop. And it was like I just picked up where I left off. It was like I didn't even take a break, and so I kept going. I stopped shooting heroin for a while after that, but didn't take very long to get back into it. I tried sticking with the Percocets and just drinking and smoking weed, but as we all know, and as you all know, that doesn't work when you're an addict. More is all that matters. Doesn't matter what it is. Um, I had a beautiful son. Um, I met this wonderful woman, Courtney, and very beautiful woman, very kind-hearted. Um, I did a lot of fucked up shit in that relationship. I'm not going to relate it directly to drinking and drugs, but I wasn't myself. And anyway, she got pregnant. I remember when she told me she was pregnant, I was so scared. I didn't know how to be a father because I didn't have one, and I was so afraid that I was going to follow in my dad's footsteps. And so I just ran with it. I continued to get completely messed up with no care in the world, and I wound up in jail. I spent the whole pregnancy and the first year of my son's life in jail. Um, when I finally decided to get clean and sober, I was standing in court, and I had caught another charge. DSS showed up there with my son's mother, and they put a restraining order on me. Put my son on it, and I lost all my parental rights at that point. And I remember my son in the back of the courtroom looking at me, and how I remember I don't know, because I bailed myself out at 3 in the morning, completely drunk, and then blew another $800 on opiates and alcohol, and I could barely stand up in court. But I remember him reaching his hand over the bench with a binky in his mouth, and he smiled at me and waved as they dragged me out of the courtroom. And that destroyed me. It destroyed me greatly. Drinking and drugging has took anybody that's ever meant anything to me and completely wiped them out of my life. I lost my child. I lost my son's mother. My sister hated me. The last time I had spoke to my sister before I got clean, she told me I needed to spend the rest of my life in prison because I was a lunatic. And she was right. I was losing my mind. Drugs and alcohol brought me to a place where I thought everybody was against me. I was delusional. I was going fucking crazy. Everything was a conspiracy. I was completely paranoid. And I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to be a person. I didn't know how to be a friend, a son, a father, a boyfriend. I didn't know how to do anything. The only thing I knew how to do was drink and drug because it's what I was good at and it's the only thing I cared about. So I ended up going and I asked for help. I finally asked for help because I knew I'd had enough. How much more did I have to lose before I gave up? How many times did I have to go to jail? How many institutions did I have to go to? How many times did I have to overdose? You know what I mean? I just couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't doing for me what it used to do for me. It used to bring like a light to my eye, and all it did was put me in a bad spot. The last 4 years of me running out there running, I had drank and drugged myself into a deep depression. Everybody was against me. I had no friends. Nobody wanted me around. I couldn't even look myself in the eye. I couldn't look my son in the eye, my family, my son's mother, nobody. I was just miserable. There was times, I don't want to say I wanted to kill myself, but there was times that I didn't care if I died, and there was times that I wanted to die, but I was too much of a coward, and I couldn't kill myself, so I would just drink and use drugs, and hope I would just overdose, and people could call it an accident, and nobody would really know where I was at and how I was feeling. But the whole 17 years I was using, I ran from a lot of problems that I never dealt with. And that's the problem with drugs and alcohol. Is all it does is numb it, and you don't deal with those problems, and you don't feel, and you don't heal. And so I finally decided to get help. I asked for help, and I begged for help, and they moved me 2.5 hours away from home. I left everything behind: my family, my friends, my son, Courtney, everybody, and I went to a rehab in New Bedford. Um, Best place I ever went in my life. Gave me enough clean time to get some clarity to realize what I was doing and why I was doing it. And it may not be for everybody. I struggled with this when I first got clean, but a real drug addict and a real alcoholic, there's reasons why you are that way. You cross a line, you cross the threshold from drinking and drugging to alcoholic and drug addict for a reason. You're stuffing things, you're hurt, you're full of shame, you're full of resentment, you're full of fear, and you don't know how to handle it because you've never learned how to handle it. And for me, going to rehab put a lot of things in perspective for me. I met a lot of good people, and I sat down and I shut the fuck up. I took the cotton out of my ears and I put it in my mouth and I listened. Something I could never do. I listened, and I sat there and I listened and I listened and I listened. And eventually, I heard something that I needed to hear. We had a guy come in doing a commitment, and I've never seen this guy in my entire life. And he told my story from start to finish. And after the group, I asked him, "You been following me?" Because that was my story. And it just blew my mind that there was somebody out there that used and drank like me and lived the same way I did. And I finally felt like I belonged somewhere. Like I could be in a room full of a million people and still feel alone and by myself. And I don't feel that way today. But I went to the rehab in New Bedford and I graduated. And I went off to a halfway house in Fall River. And I just graduated that program as well. I just moved into the graduate program. Coming up October 8th of 2012 is my clean date. I'm coming up on a year sober in recovery by the grace of God. And it was the best thing I ever did. It changed my life. It opened my eyes. And I'm here to tell you that there is a better way. You don't have to drink. And you don't have to drug. You can live life and enjoy life without the use of drinks and drugs. And in the step work, you gotta get active. I mean, the program's only gonna do for you. You'll get what you put in. And so I got active. I joined a home group. I got a sponsor, and I love my sponsor to death. And I struggled with the steps. And mainly because it was a lot of fear based. I didn't know what to do. And step one, admitting I was powerless over alcohol. Easy. I'm a fucking junkie and a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I can't stop. Of course, my life was unmanageable. But be able to hear yourself say that is the most important thing you can do. And the next step that I really struggled with was step 4. You got to make a list of your resentments, your fears, your secrets, everything. And I put stuff in there that I've never spoke about in my whole life. And step 5, you got to share these with your sponsor. And that was the best thing I could have ever done. I was so nervous to share with him, and when I read everything, he looked at me and said, "That's it." What a relief! Like I slept so good that night. My head hit the pillow and I fell asleep. And I don't run from things anymore. And coming into recovery, I've learned to forgive people for what they've done to me. Like my father, for instance, he was a violent alcoholic, tried to kill me. You know what? My father was sick, and he's been dead a long time. Why should I still be mad at him? For me to forgive him not only does good for him, but it does good for me. I don't think about it today. I have a job. I work full time. I can't remember the last time that was possible. I have amazing friends in recovery that are all clean and sober. I just signed up for school. I'm going to go be an electrician. I'm gonna do things for myself that I never thought was possible, and it's because of this program, and because of the work I put in, and because of the people around me that have my back, and most importantly, because of my higher power, that this is possible. I can see my son today. He calls me daddy. Melts my heart. I get a little worked up when I see him sometimes, I'm not going to lie. He's so cute. The most amazing little thing in this world. He's so beautiful. I can't even believe a little guy like that come out of me. I was a fucking evil seed, man, let me tell you. I don't know how it was possible, but things are different today. Things are better. Um, I'm not content. I'll never be content, but I'm good. Um, I know I'm going to make it through today without a drink or a drug. And I'm not sure about tomorrow, but when it gets here, we'll cross that bridge. But I'll be all right today. And it's definitely to the grace of God of this program. And I'm available today. I can go to court dates. I'm healthy. I put on 70 pounds. When I got sober, I looked like I was dying. Literally, I was dying. Not only was I dying on the outside, but on the inside, I was completely dead. There was nothing left of me. I had no care, no compassion for any other human being. I just, I, Everybody in life was a pawn in my little chess game. And the most important thing I can say out of all this, and it sounds retarded, is you got to surrender to win. And that blew my mind completely. You're going to tell me I have to surrender to win? You know what I mean? But like this guy said in the meeting one night, if you have a fight to show up to at the flagpole at 2 o'clock and you don't show up, there's no fight to be lost. And that hit home. And this program has taught me that it was almost like learning how to walk again, completely. I had to learn how to get up in the morning, take care of myself. I had to relearn how to think. I had to relearn how to talk to people and interact with people because I had no communication skills. If you said anything that offended me, I was down your throat, and that was it. Like, I ain't like that today. I'm calm. I'm clear. I'm rational. I see things for what they really are instead of this sick, distorted image of what I thought they were. Um, there's a few things missing in my life. I want my family back, but you know what? That's not going to happen, but it's all right. I'm okay with that because I've learned to admit my mistakes and I'm trying to move forward from them. And I can never make them possible or take them back, but I can stop doing them and I cannot make them again. My family cares about me today. My mother and most of my family is very supportive of me. Um, I have a lot of friends that I love to death that I can't really talk to, but I can still love them from afar because I can't get dragged down. And I don't know, man. My life's good today. My life's really good today. Um, I don't really have too much else to say, but if you don't want to do it anymore, if drugs and alcohol have brought you to your knees, put you in a place you never thought you would be, there's a better way. There's a very better way. Um, Hopefully, I got to help somebody. Like I said, it's my first time doing this. There's a lot of things I missed, but my higher power got everything out of my mouth that was supposed to be said. And thank you for listening. I'm Travis. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And you can do it if you really want to. Thank you for listening. Bye.